The more habits that you have, the quieter your brain gets because it feels like it can rely on you. It feels like, oh, they're going to follow through. They're going to get this completed. It might not be today, but I trust because she always follows through. So the more habits that are there, the less RAM your brain needs to actually run. Hi there. Welcome. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Intuition, Your Success Compass. This topic you've heard about. We hear about it every year. We hear about it all the time. I'm going to talk about it a little bit more, and that's the topic of habits. They are something I used to be so avoidant of, be so even dismissive of, I would say, where I was like, oh, that's just a bunch of stuff just to sell books, just to sell some maybe coaching programs or everything that could, sit on the shelf and not be used. And then I started really researching it and putting it into practice. And then honestly, comparing it to something as simple as brushing my teeth. It's very important to me that I keep my teeth and that they're in good shape. So I don't even think about the fact that a couple times a day, sometimes three, depending on what happened at lunch, that I'm in there using my mineral replacing toothpaste so that I don't end up losing any of my choppers, which is really important to me because next week I'm going in to start the implant process, which means one of these choppers is coming out. Genetics. Thank you very much, Mom. But the habit of something like that, where you're brushing your teeth or you're going for your morning walk or you have your first beverage of the day, that ritual, that habit is something that our brain really likes. It really needs. And it's even something that happens in energy. There is this thing called residual energy. And back when I was clearing houses and doing things like that, people would call me and say it's haunted. And I'm like, is it? Is it really? It may just be residual energy because as we move through our day, we do things pretty similarly. I mean, think about your bedtime routine. I know for me, 10 o'clock, it's give the cats a snack, take the puppy out, get her into bed. Yeah, it's a whole process. And then get ready for bed myself. And most of this could do without thinking. And I'm sure it's probably the same for yourself. Would it be lovely if there was more intention to it? Yes. But by 10 o'clock, my brain is fried. But this habit is there to ensure that I have a good night's sleep. Because as I'm winding down and as I'm doing these tasks, my brain is hearing, oh, she's going to be in that prone position pretty soon. Let's just dial it back. And I am one of those people that could be asleep within 4 minutes. And I really believe it's because of these habits that I've put into place that help my brain not fixate on things or worry about things or have to even plan things for that matter. So, as we think about our lives and how much our brain really has to do in a day and how distracted are we? I mean, we could literally have 20,000 thoughts within a couple of hours. I mean, well, maybe don't think about that because then it's 20,001 thoughts. But admire your brain for how much it's processing and how much it is putting into existing and hopefully living a joyful life. And I have come to appreciate these habits because I see the benefits of them. Back when I was running, for those listening, I have my steel rail half marathon jersey on. This thing. For those of you running races out or literally putting the races together, this has been the best one of all the shirts or anything that I've ever gotten. Lightweight, comfy, way off topic. But when I was running my 4 half marathons, there had to be a practice of getting out there and running in between them because I had to build up the stamina. And yes, mile 9 still sucked. It really did still suck. I miss running so much, my back does not. So we've had to compromise, but that habit of being out there, my body would start to crave them. And it doesn't matter the pace of which you're running, it's still a mile. So this consistency shifted something in me so significantly because not only did it allow me to build up the belief in myself and my legs and my lungs, it also gave me the time with myself because rarely did I run with music or a podcast or anything like that because it would just irritate me. So I'd rather just run with my thoughts. And that was a lot of processing that happened. And what we want to do is build in those habits that are grounded in a wisdom or in a lasting joy. I freaking loved crossing every one of those finish lines because about 85 times during the run, I didn't think I'd make it. And then when I did, it reinforced that can do anything. It's just a matter of me focusing, not always easy on some days, but also hearing what is it that I would like to create as that habit. So they're essential because when we do things repeatedly, we reinforce that you might call it muscle memory, but it's really a recall memory of being able to do things without thinking. So if we walked you through your house blindfolded, and you were a fairly neat person, we'd be able to find things and you'd be able to tell me where to go and how to get there politely, please, without having to think about it too much. Or where is that drink on your desk? Or if you happen to work in an office. I remember back in the day, I could just reach behind me and grab the paper I need without even looking at it because that's where the billing form sat and that's where the folder sat and that's where the invoices sat, right? So the habit becomes a bit of a safety net. It becomes something that we can then rely on ourselves, and it allows us to create a consistency, but also a return to self. I have never been a fan of the word motivation. I have always felt like the energy of motivation is something that comes from outside of me. Like, imagine hearing the whip cracking, right? Like that for a horse or, whatever we're encouraging to go faster. That's what motivation always sounds like in my intuitive head, in my clairaudient head. Inspiration is something that I strive for. It's something that leads me, pulls me forward in life, right? Like I feel inspired by recording these podcasts. When I come up with the idea, I'm like, oh, yeah, I want to talk about that. And then I'll get into it and I'll get it all planned out and written out on my little list here. And most of the time I follow it, not all the time. But you know what? Whether you believe in motivation or inspiration, they're both fleeting without habits. Because you can have the inspiration to do something and never follow through. I am a very patient coach. I am probably a little too patient at times, but I think it's also my job to understand why is it that something didn't get completed? What got in the way? Is there doubt happening here? Are you dancing with that imposter syndrome again? Or did life just get really bonkers between our sessions? And that's okay because it happens at times for all of us. But if the inspiration is there and I keep hearing over and over again, well, yeah, I'd like to. Well, yeah, I'd like to. Well, yeah, I'd like to. I then have to make sure that I'm practicing good coaching and I'm asking them to create habits, which is why I love the positive intelligence because the app itself helps to create that habit of showing up for yourself every day. That's what it is for me. That's what I believe it to be for everyone who decides to do the morning and use your morning and your daily focus. So you don't have to do that, But whatever we start first thing in our waking hours, so if you happen to work like an 11 to 7 or something like that, just translate this to when you get up. Okay. So whenever you get up, if you get that habit into place and you don't have to rely on inspiration, you will more often complete whatever it is because you'll feel weird not doing it. Like sometimes on the weekend, usually a Saturday, I don't always make it to my morning focus or my cup of coffee that I have in my hand and my breathing that I do. I don't always make it there. And it feels a little off. Like sometimes I'll even pause about an hour or so into my day and just take a breath. Maybe I'll do a PQ rep, which is a positive quotient rep, which is feeling your fingers, wiggling your toes, do some Kegels, may as well help the pelvic floor. I'll do that because otherwise I feel like I spin and I don't actually have a good time in whatever I'm doing, but I also don't really get anything accomplished. I just bounce from room to room to room. The more that I embrace the idea of a habit and the more I give myself permission to be someone who has habits and not think of that as boring or, caving to the system or whatever my whole being was being resistant to before, it helps me calm that part of the brain that might show up later that says, well, you didn't get this, this, and this done. And my brain will say, my left brain says that, my right brain will say, yeah, but we were really present when we were talking to one of the other volunteers or when we were in a coaching session or when we were recording a podcast. Your mind was not wandering. And it's like, yeah, that's right. Why? Because the habit of focus is there. And while my brain for the rest of my life is going to wander away, it's a good brain. It just goes off on its own sometimes. I have that return to practice already there because I sat through the frustration of creating a habit. Now, I don't freaking know how many days it takes to create a habit. You hear all these 7 days, 90 days, 180 days. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not you. I really do believe that that is individual to each of us, which is a little redundant to say individual to each of us, but you get my point. You may pick up something so much quicker, and I might have to like really talk myself into the process of it. Like I have a friend, she can literally say to herself, "Oh, I'm off sugar." And I'm like, well, I'm not. And yet, when I work my way to it, I have very long stretches where there's no sugar in my life. And that process is a habit as well, because it's a habit of health. It's a habit of paying attention. But one thing that's really important to activate before considering any habit, I think, is what action are you willing to do to then create this habit? Because it can't just be think about it. So, all right, now I'm going to say think about it. I'd like you to think about right now, what is one habit that you would like to build? We are in the beginning of October. We have 3 months to this year left, and we can change anytime, any day. We do not need the Gregorian calendar to guide us, but it's handy sometimes. So, in the next 3 months, what habit would you like to build, to create? It needs to be small. Micro movements matter. Say it after me. Micro movements matter. Good job. It needs to be manageable, not a grand one. I am perfectly thrilled for you to have a big picture idea of where this may lead, like where you may end up when you string all of these habits together, like me going for the 1 mile run, then the 2 mile run, then the 3 mile run. I never did any of those all together. Like I ran, I walked, I ran, I walked. And it took a lot to get my brain to accept that that wasn't failing. So you're going to bump into some resistance as you commit to these habits, but also as your brain and those saboteurs kick up. Usually the judge is the loudest one. That's the critic or the inner biatch. Like it'll get you about a week in, but it's like, why are we doing this? This is a waste of time. You never follow through. You don't complete anything. You always say you're going to do this. Always, always, always. I find the judge has very almost definitive timelines. It never says, something, you don't follow through. That would be the sage or the soul brain or this very kind, empathic right brain. So that one habit that you wrote down or thought, if you're listening to this while you're driving, please don't write while you're driving. If you're walking with your phone and listening to me, good job, but take it out, put a note down if you can. I mean, if you're walking 3 dogs at a time, you probably can't. Wait till you get back to the house. But it should consist of small, manageable, and not a big overhaul. Like all carbs are on. Anything that ends up being a big overhaul, a definitive thing, declarative. I was having a hard time getting that word out. It's declarative. I guess it depends on where you're from. Statement, like this really big, your intuition, your knowing within inside yourself is going to freeze up because it knows you learn to walk one step at a time. It knows you learn the alphabet one letter at a time. It knows that anything you've done in the past was done one step at a time. The idea for this podcast came up not only because I realized we have 3 months left and it's such a good time to start something, but I was just at the horse sanctuary where I volunteer, hence the get up. And I was working with the mini mule that I sponsor. His name's Jake. And he's had an abusive past and he does not really trust people, even though he's been treated like a king for the last, I don't know, 10 years that he's been at the sanctuary. He's still got something in there that's just a little stuck. Well, neuropathway work is my jam, and intuition. Combine them together and it's magic sauce, right? But I just knew, and I don't have equine training in my background, but I just knew that we needed to do things incrementally with him. If this takes me 3 years to get him to walk on a lead, because he has to walk on a lead, he's got to be able to leave the barn like a gentleman and not be all freaked out. We have to do it incrementally. And I just came from there, and what I was doing was putting out a little bit of grain, which he doesn't normally get, so it's a good thing. And then I was sitting on a bucket, and it was 6 feet away from me. Then it was 5 feet away from me. Then it was 2 feet away from me. I actually jumped quite a bit on that last one. And in each one, he was scared and he was nervous, and the ears were helicoptering all over the place. But he took breaths. I kept taking deep breaths, and I kept encouraging him without a lot of talk, but with encouragement and slowing my heart rate and just getting into that place. And then eventually he showed up to the one that was only 2 feet off of me and away from me rather. And he had that. And then he just stood there and stared at me. And yes, I cried because for over a month now, I've been showing him that you are only going to get kindness from me and a little bit of cut it out. I know you're playing. And that's where the intuition comes in. There's a little bit of he knows he can get away with it because he's smart. So he showed me, I'm like, oh, he's creating the neural pathways. Now I did this intentionally, but sometimes the things don't always sink in, right? And each time he came in, I'm like, oh, that's a new habit for him. We are going to reinforce this habit. Never pushing, always encouraging, and very small increments. As soon as he got to that third one, we were done for the day. Nothing else was asked of him except to still be amazingly cute. And he does that very well. So I would love for you to have the same empathy towards yourself that I'm sharing with Jake, that you don't have to do it all at once. You won't do it all at once. So there's no sense in beating yourself up for that. Have some empathy, some kindness towards yourself. And I really, really, really want you to pick something that lights you up. Feel it in your body, something that excites you, something that makes you feel that this is a meaningful action that you've chosen. To be clear, this does not have to be about productivity. Okay? This is not one of those, I want you to check something off on your box. Not at all. If the habit is to become aware of the negative thought patterns in your head, then fabulous. Love that. And you recognize it, and then you celebrate that you did it. Habit created. That's going to need to be a lifelong habit. A lot of the times we think about mental fitness and mental health as something I just have to get over or get to. People, we have a brain. We are going to be experiencing doubt in ourselves at some level capacity for the rest of our life. But it doesn't have to take us out of the game. It doesn't have to stop you from trying new things like creating a habit. A little bit of self-command, a little bit of self-belief, awareness, actualizing. Ooh, the words today. And habit creating will get you there. So think of something that lights you up. We want to hook the intuitive process into this thinking process. Okay. And then when you do that, you begin to recognize the subtle difference of when you feel aligned and when you feel you aren't aligned. Okay. And it's so subtle. When you cultivate good habits, you free up disk space in your brain. That hard drive, both brains, because they're not one, we have two. You free up space in both of them so that intuition can be stronger, can be more impactful in your life. I don't want to have my hands up over my head for the last 5 minutes. You begin to listen to wisdom more because wisdom and mindset need to go together, right? Like you have to have I believe anyway, we have to have a solid mindset, a belief in ourselves. That doesn't mean you know everything. That's not possible. It just means that you have a self-command or an awareness about yourself enough to be okay if you don't know something, right? And you have a mindset of curiosity and you have a mindset of excitement and future thinking. Okay, so the intuition comes along and provides the wisdom. It's very challenging to get the information to come in if the head is all talky, scattered, a lot of information. So for those of us out there, self included, that just said to yourself, oh, well, that's never going to happen because I have attention diverse and my head is never going to be quiet. Well, hello, nice to meet you. Very much experienced similar things. And yet I'm telling you, your head can be quiet at times. If it's completely quiet, you probably croaked and this stuff's not really going to be an issue. But without habits, it will be very difficult, almost impossible to free up space because the more habits that you have, the quieter your brain gets because it feels like it can rely on you. It feels like, oh, they're going to follow through. They're going to get this completed. It might not be today, but I trust because she always follows through. She always pays the electric bill. She always folds the laundry. She always calls people back. So the more habits that are there, the less RAM your brain needs to actually run. So when you decide on your habit of what it's going to be, before you engage in for the next couple of days, I would love next couple weeks, let's do a couple weeks. I would love for you to do some kind of centering exercise. Your brain only needs 10 seconds. You can give 10 seconds. You probably wandered away while I was talking and came back in longer than 10 seconds. It's okay. I don't take it personally. But giving yourself 10 seconds and catching when you are wandering away from what you intended to do will strengthen that again. So each time, say you said, I'm going to read a chapter every morning from whatever book you got going. Okay. You're going to read it. Now, if you're an Audible person, if you listen to I love those Audible. I never thought I would, but I do love it. This means listening to the chapter with not scrolling on a phone or doing something else. It means sitting there mindfully listening to that chapter. Okay. So say that's your intention. You set the intention of the habit of reading a chapter a day. I would highly recommend first thing in the morning because you and I both know the day runs away with us. And then as you're doing that before you start reading, you do some kind of centering or PQ rep, as we call it in positive intelligence. You're going to rub your fingers together and feel all the ridges. You're going to stare at something in your room that's beautiful or the color of a plant for 10 seconds. You're going to wiggle your toes for 10 seconds. All you have to do. These will add up. They will add up. I promise you. It's like deciding to walk, 10 miles. Don't do 10 minutes a day, for the month on an average month of 30, right? Like you've gotten 300 minutes in there. You didn't do 300 all at once. You did 10 minutes a day. You still got to 300, just like running the mile. I was always in the 12-minute category of runners. And when people would ask me how fast I went, I would say 12 minutes. I don't have a problem with that. But I would also say my mile is the same mile as that person who ran 6-minute miles. We're covering the same distance. So I'm so glad that they can run a 6-minute mile, but these tree trunks are never going to do that. So it took a while for my brain to get there. But as we enter into this last 90 days of the year, it might take your brain a little bit to get there too. But if you take the breath or you do the fingers or you wiggle the toes before you enter into your habit, your brain's going to connect feeling lit up about this habit. Okay. So especially if you're doing something that's physical, or if you did 10 minutes of stretching a day and you did the PQ before you stretched, your whole system would relax a little bit and you'd have, I would think, more mobility. It's a perfect time for you to start forming these habits because tomorrow's going to come anyway, right? Next lifetime's going to come. Eventually, we're going to croak in this one, go to the next one. Each one builds on the previous one. So if you get excited about the conscious action you're taking, you can make this final quarter of the year one where you celebrate the growth and the expansion that you've created within yourself and not roll into the end of the year feeling crappy that you didn't get that thing done. And again, I don't believe that this has to be connected to productivity or quote unquote making you a better person. That's not what this is about. It's not even about being healthier. It's about being in joy. It's about loving your life enough that you are consistent, because I promise you, your saboteurs are going to show up. And there'll be another 6-week course for positive intelligence. Maybe check that out. I can help you minimize those saboteurs. But I would love for you to have a joyful, fulfilled, fun life, and to share that joy and to have it be within and external, because once we do that, it becomes contagious to other people and it just feels good. It just feels good. So I would love for you to consider this, to give yourself the gift of habit formation. I'd love for you to see it as something that's cool, something that's really fun for you to create. And if you need any help, please reach out. All the social media channels, email, website, call, text, carrier pigeon. I would love to help. So happy habit formation. And I will see you in the next episode. Thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode of Intuition, Your Success Compass. I appreciate you being here. If you would like more information about developing your intuitive skills, removing those blocks, and creating the life that feels the most successful to you, then head on over to vickibaird.com. That's VICKIBAIRD.com. And check out the courses, the groups, and the Spaces app that will allow you to be part of our community and know about upcoming events and specials. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode.